Nation Radio.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you ever have one of those moments where you think, how the hell did I get here? Jeez, what happened to me? I was ruling the galaxy, had a cherry new battle station. I mean, this place had an omelet bar, a straight-up omelet bar. And now look, my former intern's tossing me down a bottomless freaking pit. You know, come to think of it, my whole life has been a series of what the moments. That was my out.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I looked my woman in the eye sockets. I told her straight out. I just said it, man. I said it. I said, bitch, I'm the man of the house.
You said bitch, though. You called your wife a bitch.
Yeah.
This is a public service announcement from C.T. Fletcher. I will not contribute to the pussification of a nation. Get your punk ass out there and work for it, motherfucker.
Let's roll.
Broadcasting live from the Functional Veteran Center of Excellence this 11 March 2019. Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord. What a Monday. Today we're going to have an awesome guest, Jim Morris. Author of War Story. He is one of the premier, I guess you would say, to be believed as the individual deemed to have initiated the genre of Vietnam veteran memoirs. Here to talk about it. He'll be on at 2100 to shoot the breeze. So what? We had Markia Blanca come in here and we were talking about Jim Morris, and guess who came on? Jim Morris. So ask and you shall receive from the WTF Nation. All channels and streams are running 5x5. Currently up right now. Oh, snap! We're up on Twitter. We haven't been banned yet. Someone's not posted any take down WTF Nation Radio or you should be fired WTF Nation Radio, unlike all the other hashtags on Twitter. I'll be honest with you, Twitter's like the biggest. If there was any social media platform that has the biggest amount of whiners, is fucking Twitter. It's like the biggest set straight up. Unreal fucking whiners. I mean, yeah, literally, someone will say something. And then there'll be a dog pile of everybody and their mother just because somebody had a different opinion or whatever. And yeah, so it's quite funny and entertaining to see somebody go in there, state an opinion, and the next thing you know, it get destroyed by somebody who got butthurt about whatever. So again, it's just, if you like watching dumpster fires, go on Twitter. So by the way, anyways, we're broadcasting on Twitter. To ensure that the dumpster fire extreme is continuously going on. But yeah, I'm excited about this guest. He's going to be coming on, and he's going to be talking about a lot of stuff. In case you guys didn't know that we are so ecstatic to have all types of historical figures, and I don't know, it just seems like the Vietnam War just seems to be kind of like fading out of being discussed in history. I mean, any family members that you had in Vietnam, uncles, grandfathers, dads, their story's kind of going away. No one's really not saying anything about it. So it's kind of good to get some old school in here to shoot the shit about Nam. And I don't know. To me, again, I feel honored to have somebody who's experienced on stuff. Jim's going to be able to tell us a lot more shit about what he's done. So he's a retired Special Forces major. Of course, the WTF Nation Radio and the WTF Nation is in tune with all that stuff. Man, we had the Guardians of the Green Beret come on here before. Did you make sure these guys got a copy of this stuff? I mean, so that way they're good to go.
Of course.
Yeah, because I think they'd appreciate some old time, old school, shiznits. Anyway, so let's see. We got Mixer up, rocking and rolling. Looks like everything's going good on the Mixer. What's going on, guys? So what's going on? I see you guys in there. Also see everybody in the chats in WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF Moments Facebook. I gotta say hi to everybody in there. I gotta say hi to Gordon, Teresa. What's up, Captain Wayne Baconator? What's up, Julie? What's up, Teresa? What's up, Zach? What's up? Oh God, you guys are just like filling up them chats. Mike Dre, what's going on? What's up, Bailey? What's up, everybody in the Goof? I like that. Hey, Troop. I like the name already. Hey, Goof. That's awesome. Who we have over in the WTF Nation Radio chats? Let's see. Let me see. Of course, I know we have some. We have the loyalists in there. We have Tyler. We have Ari. Truth Army Recruiting is always in there. We know that for a fact. We got. Let's see. Who else is in there? Well, I got to peek some heads in there. Yep. I'm pretty sure everybody else will join up in there. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining. Appreciate it. What's up, Max? How you doing, man? Hey, Bailey. Yeah. Anywho. So today, damn, it's just one of those weird day in today's news. A woman kind of like this is kind of like this is not a veteran twist, but veterans will laugh at this. A woman tried to do a selfie with the fucking Jaguar, and the Jaguar attacked her, and she's bleeding and shit and crying and all that. The zoo put out a statement today that they will not euthanize the Jaguar because it was doing Jaguar things. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So there's been a meme going around, because exactly, because Harambe said so. He did it for Harambe. So did you catch that story, Radar?
I did. It was hilarious. I loved every minute of it, and I laughed. I'm sorry, but like you said, it's a Jaguar doing Jaguar things. Like how I think that lady saw that dude out of Colorado that went toe to toe with the mountain lion. She's like, I got this, and learned the hard way that Jaguars don't fuck around.
Yeah, dude. What the hell are you doing? I mean, there's like exactly Marshall play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You guys out there, all the guys in the medical field, you kind of noticed that they were sitting there and she had something on her wrist, and then some dude cut it off, and all of a sudden it started squirting blood everywhere, and then some dude was getting like a sheet or something like that. You ever notice all the armchair medics came out of the wood to not help her? You notice they're like, what do we do?
You're fucked.
Bailey says she's here for Radar. Okay, my bad. Yeah, she did. Oh, you're trying to convince him that he's not scary? Oh, gotcha. Yeah, hey, so Bailey says that you're not scary, or she's not scary to you. So
I don't think she's that scary, but I've watched a lot of episodes of Snap, so I don't know what women are capable of anymore.
Oh gosh! Like what? What is this Snap show? I gotta watch this show. So what are you saying now? Whoa! Go back now.
You've never seen Snapped?
No.
It's one of the best shows on TV. It's the usually wives that have had enough of their husbands and put them in barrels in the woods and shit like that, and they it's basically women killing their husbands because they're sick of them. And there's like several seasons of it, and my better half loves to watch it and loves to point out to me when she's watching it, and that's usually about the time that I need to button up what I'm doing and pay better attention to her.
Really? So you're saying that Bailey has sort of snapping tendencies? Is that what you're saying? I don't know, man. Bailey, you think you snap some shit? Snap on some people's shit?
I don't think Bailey does, but it's something with that, that chromosome that they have.
It's something about that chromosome. Now, please, I am the reigning champion of ex-wives, so do tell. Go ahead.
Well, I've got 3, so I'm trying to catch up. But I learned sometimes you just got to keep your mouth shut and play their game, and it goes better.
Okay. I think I just exactly. Oh man. I can see the point. Well, we'll see why. See, what is up with that? How come it's called Snapped and there's a fucking show, but when guys do it, then it's all of a sudden it's like it's on what's the other show? True crime stories. So when a woman does it, do I want to go down this route? I'm gonna get jumped. So when a woman does it because she's tired of her man's shit, they get a goddamn show, and it's called Snap. But when a guy does it, he's on Discovery Mystery or some shit like that. What's it called? What's that fucking murder mystery? All those crime stories and shit like that.
Isn't it just true crime stories?
True crime, yeah, something like that. Yeah, just like
I don't know.
yeah, it's just one of those things where it's kind of like, yeah. It's she was tired of her husband's shit, and her husband was ruthlessly just being mean to her and wouldn't let her go out and party and just do whatever she wanted. So she snapped, and he deserved it. Blah blah blah. But when a guy does it, a man tired of his wife's shit puts her in a fucking barrel. He is a criminal. Oh, I'm gonna get a bunch of shit for this. I don't care. I said WTFNationRadio.com, whatever. Or contact at ArmyWTFMoments.com. I don't care. Oh, man. Oh, dudes are on Snap? Oh, okay. Thanks, Gordon. Gordon, they call. Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly, Marshall. What the hell, man? Dude, yeah, they freaking, people are freaking out about some of that stuff on Twitter. But, yeah, I just noticed that. You're right. Whatever. You see, what? So what? The guys on Snap. Throw an example on that about some of the guys. I'm totally derailing from what we're formatting, but yeah. What? Give me an example of what a guy did. Oh, it's kind of Crime Watch Daily, 48 hours or something like. Yeah. That's what it is called, Bailey. That's right, 48 hours. Yeah. A man tired of his wife's shit. Blah blah blah. He is a monster criminal. Blah blah blah. Because she wouldn't shut the fuck up. Blah 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 blah. He is a criminal monster, blah, 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 blah. But on Snap today on Lifetime Channel, men who deserve it.
I really do think it's on Lifetime as well.
Men who breathe on the next Oprah. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna get so much fucking hate mail for that. You miss music. You think you talk about it? Shut up. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. So, anyways, just joking, just breaking balls. All right. If you can't take a fucking joke, then all right, tough shit. But anyways, going back to the Jaguar story. So, this chick jumped the fence. I guess there was an enclosure of said Jaguars and a Jaguar, and it looked pretty decent looking animal. It looked pretty fucking badass looking. Yeah, exactly. And she got close to it and was like trying to snap a selfie, and the next thing you know, it fucking reached out and grabbed her arm and shit, and it grabbed like a bottle of water. I guess it was thirsty or something like that. So you saw a picture afterwards. I mean, look, Nation, you guys need to start doing better videos. Horizontal, of course, not vertical, but when you see somebody getting their arm like about ready to get torn off, like the movie Cat People, record that right, please. I mean, because we need to get the deets. We need to get the info, so that way there was no and I'm surprised that nobody's said, hey, woman, stop. What are you doing?
I'm just, how can people keep fucking doing this? How can they keep doing it after the whole Harambe, debacle, and that poor gorilla, and I don't even want to get started on that. It's too early for a radar rant, but how fucking dumb do you have to be? Like, I want to take a selfie with it. Well, I want to take a selfie with lots of stupid shit, but I don't climb in the Jaguar enclosure. And I want to say that the Jaguar is the largest predatory cat in the Western Hemisphere, and I could be wrong on that, but I know they're bigger than mountain lions, and I know that they have no problem fucking eating people. And this lady's like, I'm cool, I got this. And I don't know, that's natural selection. But I want people to start carrying camcorders again, though, instead of phones, because those always record horizontal.
There needs to be an app that when somebody it says you're a dickhead for holding this vertical, and I'm going to turn the camera horizontal for you because you suck. You don't know how to do video. There needs to be something like that. And I'm just saying that a lot of people look. Hey, I'm just breaking balls, man. I'm not saying you suck. But yeah, you kind of piss me off when I see videos like that and it's not getting the whole picture of it, and then you get you had these two black bars on the side of it, and yeah, pretty messed up. The biggest thing that tripped me out is that nobody stopped her. Like, there was nobody. That's the problem with society, that nobody nutted up. Nobody had the testicular fortitude or the sack to say, hey, you need to get down. Because this is the type of person that probably thought they were one with the animals and probably has a lot of cats at the house. I know how to. I know you just. I know how to deal with animals. They know. They love me. Yeah, with some ranch dressing.
Maybe she had some catnip still in her pocket, and she thought that it was just going to play with her like a yarn ball, and she was going to be good to hook.
Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine, dude. I couldn't even imagine. Not the fact that just watching it happen, but the aftermath. The video of it was kind of like she was rolling around and all that. And like, granted, look, I don't like seeing people suffering, but the statement released from the zoo said that they were not going to do anything to the cat, so they were going to be good to go. It's not going to get euthanized, you know. What was it? Thoughts and prayers, they said to her, or some shit like that. Whatever, man. Whatever. But at any rate, so yeah, that's what happened with the with the cat. Oh God. All right. So here is some new interesting news. And this is kind of crazy because without it, you will not be listening to us right now. This is kind of crazy. It's kind of funny how everyone in the political arena, we got to talk politics, man, because this is kind of funny. That everyone's talking about divisive politics and fake news, and they're throttling back people's freaking of showman. You know, their algorithms are changing, whatever you want to call it. But Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, she's talking about breaking up Facebook. Like, we're not just Facebook, but Amazon, Google, all them shits. She posted these ads on Facebook. You troop. Dumbass. Posted an ad on Facebook. Facebook has removed several ads placed by Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign that called for the breakup of Facebook. Oh my God. The ads were identical messages, images, and text touted by Warren's recent announcement about plan to unwind the anti-competitive tech mergers, including Facebook's acquisition of WhatsApp and Instagram. Yes, WhatsApp and Instagram. Of course, Snapchat too is about ready to move into a new realm by keeping all them snaps. So for all you hoes and hoettes and dudes out there that want to have them snaps, they're going to be tracked now. So careful and use extreme caution now on the snaps, because pretty soon they're going to be law. They're saying right now they're not snapped, but yeah, pretty soon they're going to be they're going to be locked in there. 3 companies have vast. This is what she said. The ad said that 3 companies have vast power over our economy and our democracy: Facebook, Amazon, and Google. We all use them, but to rise to power, they bulldozed the competition, used our private information for profit, and tilted the playing field in their favor. And of course, a message now is in place of those ads that say, this ad was taken down because it goes against Facebook advertising policies. Yeah, no shit. You can't post anything on social media, especially of the social media platform, of taking down said social media platform.
AL1 Kamo brings up a good point that we will still have the Mixer page for the show. So we're good there. We'll still have coverage.
Right? Exactly. Oh my God, it's fucking hilarious.
Well, I don't know what she's trying to prove with that, because, this isn't back in the day. I think she's trying to get back to that progressive / turn of the 20th century, where they were like, oh, we need to break up big businesses like Standard Oil and whatnot. And, when you didn't have a choice for your house heating except for Standard Oil. Now, if you don't like Facebook, there's, I don't know, other stuff, I'm sure, or Twitter or whatever. But, when you look back, John D. Rockefeller actually, when they split up Standard Oil into how many companies they split it into, he became the majority shareholder of all those companies and actually made more money after Roosevelt and Taft went after him and had to split up Standard Oil. He actually, his profits somehow tripled after that. So maybe Elizabeth Warren's just trying to make them more money.
I'll be honest with you. If you, it's just like this platform service that we use right now, Facebook Live. How do you think paid for by you, the Facebook user. How do you think all this shit happens for free? You think you're just gonna get unlimited fucking phones and shit and free phone calls and stuff by, oh, this is free. I just got a Facebook account. I could messenger and do all this stuff and have video phone calls for free. No, it's not free. You paid for it with your info. The Facebook spokesman confirmed that the ads have been taken down and said that the company is reviewing the matter. Wow. A representative for Warren's campaign did not immediately respond to a request for comment after Politico noticed that the ads have been taken down. So other ones have been taken. But she has staked out an aggressive stance towards Silicon Valley's biggest companies, going further than other 2020 candidates. The affected ads, which included video, directed users to a petition on Warren's campaign website urging them to support our plan to break up these big tech companies. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Let this whole shit implode. The ads were limited in size and reach, and each costing under $100, according to disclosure details listed online. That's awesome. That is it is, and this is from Politico. This is awesome. The same people that are freaking talking about jumping on the bandwagon with her are the same people that are using the platform to break up the bandwagon that they're jumping on the platform for. I love it. Firestarter type shit. This is awesome. That's what I'm talking about. Let them all eat each other. All of them, Republicans and Democrats. Let them all eat each other. This is awesome. I love the infighting. Let the hate. Well, not that kind of hate. Hate you. I hate you. I don't even know you, but I hate you too, and I hate your guts. But yeah, let them all fucking implode. I think it's awesome. Totally.
Well, and I think they're just trying to reach to that younger base. And Elizabeth Warren's, I think, kind of been guilty of that a couple of times, like where she had her drinking a beer in her kitchen video, where she's like, "Oh, hi, friendly children. I'm drinking a beer with you," and all that. And she's just trying to latch on to shit that she thinks is important to the, I don't know, the quote unquote millennial vote, who are, oh, these people are millionaires and they're not sharing with me, and I just work at McDonald's and I need $25 an hour and all that. And I think she's just grasping at straws, and I don't think any of it's working, if I'm honest, it's the same. All the candidates now have kind of come out with these different ideas of how to kind of reach the younger base. And everyone just makes fun of them, except for Bernie Sanders. He's like, I'm going to give you everything for free. And people are like, oh, yeah, I want free everything. And they don't work or don't work hard. So they're like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, free shit. And they don't realize that somebody somewhere has to pay for that. And they don't get it. I don't know.
I want everybody to have free shit. Who wouldn't want to have free shit? I think it's awesome.
Well, if they would change it from from free to taxpayer funded, I think maybe would get a lot of traction in the opposite direction for them. But that's who's going to pay for it. It's going to be me and you and everyone else who actually works for a living. It's not going to be, Bernie Flyfrip. And that dude, and where does he get off owning like 5 mansions and driving an Audi R8 anyway? Dude's got a supercar and a mansion, and he's talking about we need to take out the rich people. I'm like, dude, you are a rich person. You're not scraping by on $60,000 a year trying to feed kids. And what do you got? You can't afford a comb, but other than that, you're good.
I love his style, man. He's got an Audi R8. I like Audis, man. That's pretty cool. All this free shit you bought for me. I need to watch Bernie videos so I can imitate him too. Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. Taxpayer funded stuff. Oh, I mean, is it kind of like the same thing that what's her nuts is saying? AOC, Anastasia or Ocasio Cortez, whatever her name is. What was her name again? I mean, this is really how I don't care about all this political crap. I mean, I do care, but I don't. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I just follow what comes up on Facebook and I laugh about it. I don't actually. I just can't. I can't get behind them. To say I support you. I can't support a single thing that any of the major Democratic candidates have come out with. I just can't. And it's not because I don't like the Democratic Party and I don't like some of the things they stand for. It's just and it's politics on both ends of the spectrum. on the Republican side and the Democratic side are getting so far spread out. They're on so far the edges of the pendulum, and everyone else is in the middle, and we're just scratching our heads saying, how can you do this? How can you push forth this agenda when 6% of the population wants it? That it doesn't make any sense to anyone. And I don't know. I don't hate Trump. I didn't vote for him. I was never going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And then I saw today, I was reading how they want Joe Biden to run, and they're pushing, all this Joe Biden. And I don't know about you, but I saw some of the videos and the pictures of him in the White House, and there's no way I'd let him near my daughters. Absolutely no way. That dude's creepy as fuck. And they're like, oh, well, we know we need him. It's like, what? Can't you find anybody in the Democratic Party that's not batshit crazy that we can put up and then try to stay mainstream? And that's I don't know. And some of the Trump stuff is going further and further right, and I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to prove. I can't believe someone somewhere, and they have all these planners they pay millions and bajillions of dollars to, can't say, hey guys, let's bring it in a little bit and see what we can do.
Now, is it because they're just, there's some dumb shits? Really, I think, yeah, there are some dumb shits. It was like, fuck yeah, there's some dumb shits. My biggest thing is that I don't understand, like, what, they don't have a, like, there's no, think about it. All the Democratic Party guys are there's like 20 people are running, or like 18 people or something like that. They're all like run up and down. Nobody's really saying anything about Republicans because everyone's afraid of getting trolled by Trump. That's what I think is happening right now with the Republicans. They're afraid of saying something and then getting trolled by Trump, and then everyone's going to be like, get shot down. And then there's going to be bandwagon jumpers of said Trump trolling on the individual that wants to run against them. You know what I mean? So there, is it because that they're scrambling? Do you think there's not a reason why they're not 20 fucking people, dude? You're really making it easy for a re-election of the president, right? Don't you think?
Oh, I think so. And it's not just the 20 people. It's going to be Bernie Sanders. He's not going to give up, and they're going to go to the primaries, and it's going to be Bernie against Warren or Joe Biden or someone like that. Same as kind of a rematch of 2016, and they're going to keep doing the same thing and blah, 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 blah. And they're going to keep doing that. And Bernie's going to split the Democrats. And I think that Trump's really not doing too bad. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't vote for him. I don't love the dude. I'm not on the Trump train, but given everything he's gotten, he's not doing too awful bad, if I'm honest. But you look at all these Democratic contenders are so far left right now. They're so far out there. And maybe maybe there is moderates that are running, because there's a lot of people you don't hear about. I know there's that woman from Minnesota, and she just said, I'm running in a blizzard, and then that's all the last I've heard of her.
Yeah, but she gave a speech in the blizzard. That's like, everyone's saying that's stoic and powerful.
Yeah, but then she disappeared though. Like, where'd she go? She's been gone for like a month.
Right.
You're right. The Democrats are deluding themselves, having 20 or so candidates, but all the Republicans got to do is sit back and watch the Democrats burn their own house down and kind of walk away with it. Because there's the people that love Trump, and there's the people who think he's doing an all right job, and then there's the people who hate him. There's no like middle ground with Donald Trump. It's not like, even with Obama, he had some people who are like, yeah, he's doing okay here, but he could use some work here. It's the people who are either for him or not. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area. And there's the never Trumpers in the Republican side. And then there's the, pretty much everybody who's not a registered Republican is saying, nope, no more Trump. So they're going to jump on whatever 3 or 4 bandwagons. Because I think, the Libertarian Party and the Green Party have a good chance this time of gaining some more traction like they did last election cycle. And then the Democrats are just going to split themselves up again with Bernie, and Minx and I have talked about that too. Who better to, get with college kids than a 77-year-old socialist? She said it the best. She said hooker in there a few times and I didn't, but I can't believe that like I said, they've got handlers. They've got these people they pay a lot of money that go through and look at all of these different dynamics and different voting groups and whatever. It's all split up. It's kind of like baseball stats now, where they have, oh well, he hits best on a Tuesday in March and all this other crap. They've got all of these demographics broken down, and they're doing all these quote unquote polls, but they can't say, get out of here, you suck, or hey, quit being a douche, or nobody wants to stand in line for toilet paper, so ditch the socialism bullshit. I don't know.
Well, the Republicans are not
I'm at a
far.
loss.
Well, the Republicans are also not far from throwing their own half truth on some of their fucking comments. Well, like now they're scaring the fuck out of people for immigration. I can tell you that right now. Just by the way they're going back and forth. I'm not saying it's not warranted, but I'm just saying that they're leaving out key facts on some of the immigration facts that they've been talking about. And so they're talking about that they took our jobs, making that comment, that something like that, and it's making everybody go nuts. And then, they're trying to. There are actually there's actually some members in the Democratic side of the House that want to make immigration, if you're illegal or not, you're authorized to vote. Which it literally is, like you were saying, you're literally going to hand a re-election over because of shit that is like almost too wazoo. You just can't believe you're saying that. I mean, there's talk about lowering the age to 16. There's talk of, I tell you what, if you lower the age to 16, then you're old enough to fucking get in the draft. Join the service. You select the service, man and women. Then if you want to talk about, you want to lower some shit like that, and also you can buy a gun. How about that, huh? If you're old enough to vote for the decision of the country, then that means you're free chicken for fucking everything else. So that means you're old enough to get a rifle. You're old enough to go join the selective service, to be drafted, and that means that you are basically emancipating yourself as an adult. So when little ones turn 16, see you. Get the fuck out of here. Dig off the rock.
If we could do that, that would save me a ton of money if I could start kicking 16-year-olds out of my house.
Bro, I know, man. It's fucking child support and shit.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes, yep. We need to get on board with this 16 as an adult thing now. Because aren't they, and this sounds really bad. Isn't the age of consent in most states 16 anyway or less? So
what do you mean by consent? What do you mean by consent? Relations? R. Kelly stuff? Or
yeah. I don't know. Dude, I've got kids that age, so I'm not really interested in that stuff. But I'm just saying, like, if you can you can drive, you can do other dumb shit.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, yep. 16, you're an adult now. No more child support for me. That's going to save Radar like $1,400 a month. I'm in. Hey, yep. Let's do this. And let them vote. I don't care. Most of them won't do it anyway. They won't even do their history homework, so they're not going to go vote. What do we got? What do we got to worry about? We got like
True.
They're going to have like that stupid kid from, who was that kid? That David Hogg or whatever. That idiot kid. Him and his buddies might go vote, but that's about it. It will be all right. And yeah, like I said, let them go buy guns. Let them go whatever. I don't even care anymore. Just let them do it, because they're going to do it anyway. I don't know. I've got teenagers, and guess what? Do they drink? Hopefully not. Maybe. But I know their buddies do, and I know their buddies make bad decisions. I try to keep my kids from doing too much dumb shit, at least getting caught doing it.
Right.
But, kids do it anyway. They make dumb decisions, and that's when you're supposed to do it, is when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. Let them get it out of their system. Let them vote for socialists when they're 16, and then when they hit 30, 35, they're going to be like, God damn, that's dumb. Why did I do that? Why did I support an idiot? And let them grow up that way. They got to grow up everywhere else. Let them grow up, let them grow up enough to make bad decisions. And let's be honest, and like me, where I live at, we have like 2 electoral college votes anyway. So it doesn't matter. South Dakota has never, ever, and will never be the deciding factor in an election. Sorry, that's just the way it works. And there's a lot of flyover states that are the same way. Like Montana and Wyoming. Like, no, and that's great for me because I don't get all the stupid commercials when they come on and be like, oh, vote. No, we get like 4 of them. And they're on the radio, and you just switch to a radio station, and you're good. I grew up in Iowa, and my parents still live there, and like I think they're already getting the commercials in some of these states. And just fuck that. I don't need any of that. I already know I'm not going to vote for any of them. So let bygones be. And I'm so glad Hillary Clinton's not running. She was kind of toying with the idea. I'm so glad that I'm not going to say that word on the radio, but I'm so glad she decided that she's taking a back seat and letting other people screw up politics for a bit. But
what word? What word? Whoa! What are you talking about? What am I missing? What word?
Oh,
you don't have to say if you don't want to. I'm not going to force
you.
you.
It was a word that I very seldom use, but for her it's warranted. But
well, she did say she wasn't going to run, so she did not. She confirmed that she is not running, and get involved in all that mix. You know what I mean? I would venture to say that I think it's going to get pretty brutal. I think she was probably told not to run. I think AOC is going to be dominating a lot of the conversation. All the freshman Congress peoples are going to be in there talking a bunch of crap and jarring the party because you notice that Nancy Pelosi is now on the back burner with AOC up there telling her to shut up and sit down pretty much, and I'm the boss. This makes House of Cards look like freaking it's unreal. I can't believe it's happening. It's awesome. I think it's awesome.
I love watching it. I love, like you said, they're both imploding, and
right.
You know, the Republicans are doing it kind of more closed-lipped. It's not as public a bridge burning as the Democrats are at this very moment. But you know, like you said, the immigration thing's a big one. But and I think I still, for some reason, it's still abortion, and I don't understand that whatsoever. And you know what? I guess I don't understand. And I'm not pro-abortion. I've got 1 million kids. If I was pro-abortion, I'd be a lot better on that aspect. But what I'm saying is, why does somebody in Washington think they need to regulate someone's reproductive behavior? Leave that up to whatever arguments for it. And same with marijuana. We had that discussion last week on medicinal and medical marijuana, and they're still kind of putting their hands in all that. And they're trying to pick battles within themselves that there is no winner. There is no winner. And it's even the same with the immigration policies. There's no winner in that. They're fighting these quote unquote valiant battles, but who's going to win? What does the victor get from this huge infighting? And it's the same, the Democrats are, we need socialism. No, we don't. We've we spent from 45 to 91 fighting against socialism and those principles and everything else. We spent a lot of money, and a lot of people died in that fighting, whether it be cold or hot, because there was both in those time periods. And now we're like, well, maybe they were onto something. No, they weren't onto something. I don't mind going to work, and I don't mind having my money to do my shit. And I don't even mind paying a little bit of taxes. But what I do mind is paying 40% of my income to taxes and then getting taxed on everything I buy and everything I walk by. But I sure as, I'm not paying for somebody else to live. I already have kids. If I wanted to keep paying for more people to live, I'd keep having more kids, but I'm good. But there's people all over the place who are like, hell yeah, hook me up with some free shit. And there's a level of compassion there. Hey, yep, you're on hard times. I want to help you up. But helping somebody up isn't helping them for the rest of their lives. And we're between the socialism aspect and the social problems that we have, we're creating a whole level of people, a whole generation of populace who are not self-sufficient and are completely dependent upon the government for their survival. And I think that is one of the greatest injustices that we've done to people, that we're doing to the American people.
Damn. That's what I'm talking about. That's a radar rant right there. Holy shit! I was just, a lot of it as well is like you were just saying, is where is it going to? I mean, where are we going to? So the people that are just saying, yeah, get the free this, get the free that, get the free that. What's going to happen to the people that are actually working for this stuff? I mean, I'm jumping on what you're saying too. What's going to happen to the individuals that are working hard? You're busting your ass. It doesn't have to be a veteran. It doesn't have to be just be anybody. Just Joe, Joe American. You you can freaking what is this? The guest is early. What's going on, Jim?
I just thought I'd check in, listen to the show for a while, and be on when you're ready for me to talk.
Oh, okay, Jim. We'll stand by. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're going to be right back on, okay? All right,
okay, I'll just be sitting here listening.
Just sitting here, yeah. Just sitting here listening. So, right quick then, what was I going to say? Oh, it really doesn't matter. I mean, where is it going to be with the, how do I say this? Like the average worker. Now, I'm not talking about veterans. I'm talking about the average Joe. So the average Joe is going to go out, he's going to go get a job, and he's going to go work, pay taxes and all this other stuff. And as soon as he has something that's detrimental in his life, he's going to be required, he's going to be asking for government assistance. Well, then at that point, all those taxes and everything that he did to pay for that government assistance is now going to be denied because the government's going to say you make too much. So where is it? Where's the line drawn? Like you were saying about the haves and have-nots, there, Radar, is where's the line drawn for the individuals that have had the that aren't doing anything, that seem to get more benefits than those who are busting their ass trying to make ends meet. You know what I mean? You're right. It's gonna implode. And when it happens, it's gonna be pretty ugly once the honeypot starts drying up. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's just it. That's where we're going to be at. Is that honeypot has to dry up at some point. And let's be honest. Looking at, was it $22 trillion in debt that we are now as a country? I believe it's 22.
Yeah, 22 trillion. Yeah,
we're already drying up. That honeypot's already drying up. You can only milk the taxpayer for so much before it is an issue. And I don't know. A lot of things have got to change, and no one. But the stuff that needs to change isn't even getting discussed.
Right.
The stuff that needs, college is too expensive. College is so expensive because the government will fund your college. So colleges are charging whatever they want because they know that you will get a loan, an education loan, for that amount. So they're charging, it's not the government's fault. It's not my fault. It's not your fault that college tuition has went up 1,000%. It's not any of ours fault. It's the college's fault because they're still getting the money. Same with healthcare. All Obamacare did was guarantee that you were either going to have healthcare or you were going to pay for somebody else's. And so the cost of healthcare did not go down. In fact, the cost of healthcare went up because they knew that they were going to get paid. They knew that they were going to get it. So and it's the same thing. If you have a taco stand and everyone goes to your taco stand, and they have to come there because they're on a taco stand for 50 miles, you can charge $5 a taco. It doesn't matter. You can charge 7 or 8 or 10. Eventually people quit coming, but at that point you don't stop until you're forced to.
Unless you got some good tacos.
Exactly.
I mean, I'd pay some good money for some tacos that are, tacos de carne style. You get 3 of them with beans and rice and some sauce and some cilantro and some onions on there. Then you're getting some kick ass tacos, and it might be worth it for $7. So some $7 tacos, man, with beans and rice would be pretty good. We're gonna take a break right quick, so we have our guest Jim joining us, and then with that, we'll be right back with shots. Stand by.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue. trying to protect me. You pull a pistol and I'm shooting for trying to contest me. I got a quick second to make a deadly decision. The media betrayed me like a kid for a living, like I'm cold with no heart, a brain with no thoughts, a body with no feeling, a life with no cause.
Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see, and like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see, and like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. I'm damned if I do, and damned if I don't. It's like every single time I say what's on my mind, they go for my throat, they spew evil words. If you are absurd, always grinding, grinning, and killing my soul with these verbs. Hold me down, like I can't gasp for air. I'm closed inside of a box, like I'm inside Fort Knox. Every time that I'm there, I don't know why they think that I'm different from you. All that's true is I'm a like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see, and like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see, and like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see, and like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see, and like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be human.
Here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back with our guest, Jim Morris. What's going on, sir? How you doing today?
So far, so good. I've been kind of looking forward to talking to you guys for a while. I like doing these radio interviews because I learn more than, I mean, you're not just interviewing me, I'm interviewing you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
That's not what I got on the cut sheet. Wait, I'm going to get interviewed
now?
Okay, so
for instance, what have I got? I've got ICE and radar, right?
Yep.
But ICE, your name is not actually ICE, is it?
Oh, you reporters, you just like you and Mark Yablanca said that
no,
you guys.
because I used to know. Look, my intel sergeant at Camp-Dook. I used to command for a few months. I commanded the A team at Camp-Dook,
yep.
And my intel sergeant was Fred ICE. And you could go around the world 6 times and not find a cooler guy than Fred.
Oh, wow. Coming from someone like you, sir, it's awesome. I appreciate the compliment.
Well, okay. I will tell. Can I tell you a story about Fred ICE?
Go for it.
Okay. All right. I was inspecting one of my sergeants, Ed Corpus, was teaching. He was running a range, and for my strike force, which was a Vietnamese strike force. And they were actually recruited by the dregs of the Saigon jail, and these guys were, they were offered a chance to get out of jail if they would join the CIDG, and they took it, which they probably wouldn't have if they known what they were getting into, but they did. They took it, and Ed was teaching them. He was out there. He was teaching them on the range. And he did something you don't do. He ran them on the range because he was running a little behind and he wanted to catch up. And one of these guys tripped and fell and broke the radio that he had under his shirt and tore his brand new uniform shirt and all of a sudden 100 of these little people took a step back and jacked around in the chamber, and we were standing there looking at these guys who were ready to rock and roll. And Fred has just took one step back, jacked around in his chamber, and stared them all down.
Jim,
And,
Fred is the name of my dad.
Hmm?
Fred is the name of my dad, who is a Vietnam vet, or was a Vietnam vet.
Wow.
Awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, that is great.
So
yeah, Fred was. Oh, listen, there was another thing I wanted to ask you guys.
Go for it.
I listened to Mark Blanca's interview, and and you know, Mark and I are old friends, and seems to me that I heard an expletive or two.
You could say whatever the hell you want.
So
you could go for it, man. This is we're open season right now, man. You can say what
all
you
right.
want.
Well, that's. I just wanted to know if there were any rules, because
nope, we want to hear you.
I don't do well with rules.
No, I hear you. I mean, like I said, it's all we want to hear you. So, this forum and this format, you could say whatever the fuck you want. No one's gonna bleep you. No one's gonna say anything about it, and you can.
Well, that's good to know, because when I'm talking about GI stuff, I talk like a GI.
Right.
And you know what GIs are like. And so anyway, that's where it's at. Hey, did you tell these people who I am? You know, I mean, you just said, "Hey, we're talking to Jim Morris."
Well, no, see, I said that.
Away.
Yeah, well, I said earlier that you're a retired U.S. Army Special Forces major, and we gave a little bit. Usually, what we do is we'll talk about our guest way in advance before you even show up. So pretty much.
Yeah,
everyone's been waiting on you, sir, to go, to talk. so we don't. I mean, we've already fulfilled, but it's also our duty to let you tell your story about you, and you could tell us whatever you because that's usually why I ask. That's how since we're interviewing each other, that's how usually I ask the guest. Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you've been doing. Tell us about your military career, and then we go into, why you wanted to come on. So go for it.
Okay, so there's another question I've got for you: is who basically is your audience? GIs?
Oh yeah, veterans, you name it. Right, and we'll see. We have veterans. We have current active duty military personnel. The page we're broadcasting to right now is followed by 1.2 million followers. The radio's got 20,000 followers. We're listening.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So if you Google WTF Nation Radio on the Google bar, the first 5 pages. So you're going to be all over the place in a minute once we're done here.
Well, that's good to know. Okay. Yeah, I was an active duty Special Forces officer, and since I got out of the Army, actually I was shot out of the Army. I was only on active duty for 7 years.
Right.
And then I guess I did okay, because after I got out, you don't have this happen too often. I was promoted from ex-captain to ex-major. How cool is that?
I was about to say, so you got a retired promotion. You got a military retired promotion. Is that how it worked?
Yeah. I had retired 3 months before, and then they backdated me a data rank to 3 months before I got out.
So that gave you place. That placed you on the majors list to get promoted to. Now wait a minute. If you were only so tell us about your military career. When did you join the Army?
Well, okay. First off, I was a military school kid, and then when I was in college, I joined the reserve. So when I was in college, I was an MP. I was a PFC in an MP unit, and then I went through ROTC and got a commission and pushed troops at Fort Dix for 2 years, and then went to Special Forces. And I just had. It's hard to imagine how good that life was. I mean, it was tough. It wasn't for everybody.
Right.
But, okay, I was in the first group on Okinawa. And so I was in this totally goofy place. It was like a old theme park. And I mean, the island is 35 miles long and 17 miles wide at its widest. And the top speed limit was 35 miles an hour. And it had all these goofy signs, like my favorite was too much accident area, Futima Police Department. And all the bars had signs that said all under 21, no stay. And
Nice.
We were running. I got kidnapped early on to be the information officer, which a special forces group has no slot for an information officer. So
what does an information officer do? Is that like a public affairs guy? Or
an information officer is the lying sack of shit who tells everybody how great you are.
So you're a public affairs guy then?
I was a public affairs guy. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That's the current jargon for it. I was the first group's public affairs officer, and I didn't like it because all my buddies were going to Vietnam and coming back highly decorated and shit, and I was stuck on Okinawa. But boy, it was fun, because I got to do all kinds of goofy stuff. Like I got to ride around in submarines and jump out of helicopters and jump in the water out of helicopters. And the maddest I ever got in that job was an inter-island ferry went down with 140 people on board. And the group scuba committee was going to dive down and retrieve all that stuff and retrieve the bodies and retrieve whatever was retrievable. And they didn't tell me. I mean, I could have gone down with them. It was like 140 feet, but I had never done that with a scuba, but I had some scuba experience. I could have gone with them.
Right.
And I didn't even find out about it till it was over. So I wanted to kill the three, not the first time I wanted to kill that particular major either. But so anyway, but it was great because I got to do all this goofy stuff.
Right.
And then Colonel Garrett, my commanding officer, Colonel Garrett, was. I'm going to take a minute and describe him because.
Go for it.
Well. He is, of all of the guys that I've served with and worked for, he is the one I had the most respect for, Colonel Garrett. And he was like a sixth-generation West Pointer. But this guy had commanded the 6th Ranger Battalion in World War II.
Oh, wow.
When he was 27 years old. And I don't, so much time has passed. I don't know if do you guys know who Bull Simons was?
I don't. None of these individuals know unless you're on the soft side of the house or you have been stationed at Fort Bragg. Or do you know who Arthur Bull Simons is?
Well, because you knew his first name.
Right.
Anyway, this guy was Bull Simons' commanding officer.
Oh, wow!
And before that, they were best buds, and they each had a company in the 6th Ranger Battalion.
Wow.
And I said, so I was talking to him about it, this guy's a legend. And I said, so, sir, how was Colonel Simons? And he said, hard to beat.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a badass. No,
it was just,
he's a badass.
It was just so great to work for a guy like Woody Garrett. And he once said to me, he said, hell, I'm stupid. I'm so stupid, it took me 6 years to get through West Point. But
Really?
I'm not so stupid, I got stupid people working for me.
Wait, so it took him 6 years to get to West Point? Was that even possible?
He got ripped back once for academics, which he was not an academic star.
Right.
And he wasn't stupid, far from it, but he did have some odd ideas. But the other thing was he had I think it was an injury from swimming.
Right.
and so he got thrown back another year. It did actually take him 6 years to get through West Point, but it wasn't because he was stupid.
Right. Wow.
It took him 5 years to get through West Point because he was stupid. but you know, he was just a wild guy, and so he wanted to be a general, so he wanted to have good PR, and I got him good PR. But as I explained to him, I said, look, the commanding general of the U.S. Here on Okinawa is a rose growing office guy. You know, he hates combat troops. The kind of publicity I'm going to get you is, and he never asked me that. He just said, do it. And he loved what I did for him, but it probably hurt him more than it helped him.
Right.
You know, but I got to do some wonderful stuff. I walked into the Stars and Stripes Bureau on Okinawa. Sid White was the bureau chief. And I said, hey, would you guys like to have a story about special forces making a jump into Korea? And they said, sure. So I'd just done that. So I sat down and wrote it, and in about 2 hours. And it was not only, you know, it was all over the Pacific, my little feature story. And one of my stories made the European edition of Stars and Stripes. That was a submarine deal. That was fun.
Right. Well, you served 3 tours with Special Forces in Vietnam, and
that's true. Two TDY and 1 PCS, and I actually made it all the way through one of them.
Right. And you have you have 4 Purple Hearts already, or at the time,
yes.
before the Marines hit Da Nang.
4 Hearts and 4 Bronze Stars.
Wow. Holy crap.
2 for V, two for being slightly less cowardly than I could reasonably have explained, and 2 more for being able to type. You know, I mean, it's.
Well, I heard you got some pretty good coding speed there. What was your coding speed?
Oh shit! It was like 8 words a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we were cross-trained to limp along if we actually had to.
Right.
I never had to.
That's so. So you did the.
I've never actually sent an operational message by Morse code. You know.
So you also won a major award for non-military fiction, for nonfiction. It was the Bernal Diaz Award. What's the? How did you feel when you got that?
Yeah. Well, that was for okay. There was for a time a magazine called Behind the Lines magazine. I think they were in business for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And they decided that they wanted to have this awards program. So, Ken Miller, who was a LERP in Vietnam, and Ken's a scholarly type, and so he decided that the award should be named for Bernal Diaz, who was Cortez's sergeant major and wrote The Conquest of Mexico, which was one of the best early first-person There I Was books.
Right. That's what talks about the first involvement in counterinsurgency too.
Yeah. And so I got to tell you, I am proud of that award because I won it the first year, and the first year it was an annual award, but the first year I was in competition with every military book written in the preceding 10 years. And, you know, that was the field. And there were like, I can't remember what all the nominees were, but Bravo 20 was one of them, and it won the next year. But you know, I'm really proud of that.
Wow.
And another thing I'm proud of is that a friend of mine told me that a kid who was in special forces in Vietnam, and to me, a kid is anyone who's under like maybe 55, who said his team sergeant had given him a copy of War Story and said, "Read this. This is how it's done when it's done right."
That's right.
And you know, that's the kind. I want that carved on my tombstone.
Well, no, War Story and the Devil's Secret's Name. That's like the big soft notables to read in the community.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So if you're not reading, if you're at Fort Bragg and you're in that world and you don't read some of that stuff, then you're definitely catching yourself short. So after your time in Vietnam and after you got out of the Army, what made you want to go to do writing? What was the drive for it?
What was the what?
What was the drive? What made you want to just start writing? Just to start.
What made? There was no that. It's not like I wanted to write a book about my experiences in the Army. I went in the Army to write a book about it.
Right.
My degree is in professional writing, and I've been writing since I was 12, and so it was always my ambition to write the great novel of the War of My Generation, even before I knew what the War of My Generation was going to be.
Right.
And it turned out a lot different than I had conceived of it. But yeah, that was always my ambition. I wanted to be that guy. And it was Hemingway for World War I and James Jones for World War II, and I wanted it to be me for Vietnam. And it wasn't quite that, but I did okay,
Right.
And I'm just really proud of that work. Yeah. So now enough about how wonderful I am. What do you want to know about Vietnam and Spec Ops and all that kind of stuff?
I was gonna ask you. You had been quoted as saying that there's a uniqueness and a beauty and strangeness of Vietnam. I was telling some of the fans earlier when we had Mark Blanca is that everyone right now since 2001 we've really not heard anything much about Vietnam since the movie We Were Soldiers. And it's not really it doesn't really hold, like there's not like the Son Tay Raid. I think would be an awesome movie to show the Son Tay Raid.
Yeah, it
would be wicked as hell to see these guys going in there, Bull Simons being one of them, to be one of those key. It's like you were saying, it's just the unreal stuff that you said you get to do goofy things. The Army in that time was kind of learning itself in Vietnam with that. So what was to you? What was the draw for Vietnam?
Oh, well, first of all, the first time I ever heard the word Vietnam, I was a first lieutenant. And so the draw was not Vietnam per se. In fact, at that point, the thing on the front burner was Laos, and Vietnam was not the big deal that it became. But I definitely wanted to get in Special Forces. The first time I ever heard of Special Forces, I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do, and because I realized I knew, I've always been a big reader, and I was a big reader about military stuff, and I knew about the OSS. I knew who the Jedburgh teams were and what they had done, and to be what that was.
Right.
And, Special Forces was done by those guys. I mean, what Special Forces was a bunch of old Jeds like Aaron Bank and
General Donovan.
The names aren't coming to me. Jack Singlaub.
Yep, Singlaub. Yep.
Those guys.
Billy Wall.
They said, okay, we did, oh gosh, who later became director of the CIA. And I've met the man, and his name won't come to me right now. That's one of those senior moment things. But in any case, these guys got together and they thought, okay, we kind of put it together and brought it off in World War II, but if we were going to do it right, how would we organize it? And they came up with the Special Forces Group, and they came up with the A-Team.
Right.
And I knew all that from an article I read when I was a college freshman. And so I knew that I wanted to do that. The thing that made it difficult was I didn't particularly want to be in the Army for my whole life. And it turned out perfectly in a sense, because I was in the Army. The summit of my ambition was to be a captain in the Special Forces. And, I didn't care about being a colonel or, putting pens and maps and all that kind of shit. And I got to do that. And then I got shot, and I got to do the other thing that was the summit of my ambitions, which was to write a really good book about the war I was in. And I had to have enough money to do that, because my disability, it wasn't huge, especially after child support, but
I know that feeling too.
but it was enough, I mean, most of the time I worked. If I didn't work, I could survive and I could still keep writing. And so, because I wrote like 6 books before I ever sold one. And, you got to keep, at one point I just thought, I'd sold some magazine stuff years before, but I thought, you haven't sold anything for 6 years, you're just bashing your head against the wall.
Right.
And I thought, and what? I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't want to be president of the United States. I want to be a well-respected author. And there's only one way to do that, and that's to keep writing it.
Right, exactly.
And so I did it, and it was then I sold some, and so on and so on and so on, I just kept working along and scamming along,
That's all.
But I never had a job outside of the military that I didn't think of as a day job. Even being an editor in New York, to me, it was a day job.
Right.
It took 60 hours a week, but then I was putting in another 40 hours a week writing my own stuff.
Now, that
was a rough time.
I bet. Yeah. Were you able to work up faster on a typewriter, though, on a words per minute at that time?
Me? I'm a terrible typist. And, just like War Story, which is, like I said, is my best book, I typed that sucker 6 times.
Oh, wow.
Because I would type it all the way out, and I would go over it, and by the time the X's and strikeovers and line throughs and interstitial notations, and by the time you got to where you couldn't hardly read it at all, then I'd retype it. And I worked on that book for 9 years, and I typed it 6 times before I was through with it.
Wow.
And
I wouldn't have
some of the others.
Yeah, I wouldn't have the patience for that. They got stuff now where you can just talk it and it'll type it out for you now, right? You know that?
I know, but see, that's crap. Look, I'm not left-handed. I write my books left-handed in spiral notebooks. And the reason I started doing that, when I got shot in the right arm, I was in the hospital, and I thought, I'm going to be here for a long time. And my arm was in traction. My right arm, the one that I typed with and wrote with, was in traction. So I thought, but if I'm ever going to have time to write the book that I wanted to do then, which is eventually became Above and Beyond, I can do it now. So the task I made for myself was to write by hand 1 page a day. you know. So I had to learn to write left-handed. And I wrote the first draft of that book left-handed. And then when I started typing it up, I got the use of my right hand. I started typing it up, and it was better than anything I'd ever done before, because I was going really slow and making careful word choices, and nothing was wasted. It was solid stuff.
Awesome.
And so I thought, well, that's a good thing. So I started, but then my right hand started to work, and so the next time I started working, writing with my right hand, and then it was better than stuff that was just typed straight out. But it wasn't as good as the stuff that had done left-handed. And later I decided it was probably the right hand, left brain thing, you know? No, right brain, left hand thing. And so that was great. So ever since then, I just write them left-handed in spiral notebooks and go real slow and think about what I'm writing. And I belong to this writers group. And Bob was in it. He died about 2 weeks ago. And he was writing all his hippie tales, and there were great stories about, you know, crazy people he encountered, and balling all these fabulous chicks, and he was very graphic in that, and you know, so the stories were fun, but the writing was shit. I mean, it was just shit, and it would have taken, you know, and I kept trying to tell him, Bob, you got to reread this stuff and take out what doesn't need to be there. And he just never got it. And he had all these rambling digressions and used way too many words than he needed to explain simple things. And I mean, it was still fun because it was, you know, dope, sex, and rock and roll, but you know, I mean, there's more to writing than just coming up with a bunch of words.
Yeah, that's true. Your time that you spent with the Montagnards, is that when you fell in love with being up in the Highlands?
Wow, the time with the Montagnards. It was just, you know, it was fascinating. I mean, you know, I'm just a kid from Oklahoma, you know, all this big wide world was fascinating to me. And here I was in an actual primitive tribe, you know, and we lived in the village. Our camp was in the village. It was I think it was the 3rd Special Forces camp. And our commanders hated it because, you know, we had these old prehistoric looking pigs wandering around in the place, and the Montagnards were out, you know, hunting rats with crossbows in the morning and stuff. And it was just fascinating. Like, I knew a guy who had killed a leopard with a knife. You know, one of the Montagnards had killed a leopard with a knife. And the downside was his nickname was Old Half-Head. But I knew another Montagnard who had a bad habit of cleaning weapons in a number 10 can of gasoline while he was smoking.
Yeah, that ain't smart. Yeah.
Result.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
he
ain't very
kept blowing
smart.
up in his face, and he just kept doing it, you know. So that was pretty amazing. And like the first shaman I ever knew, I'm very interested in shamanism, and the first shaman I ever knew was the Jirai shaman, the King of Fire, and he had his old French ID card with his name in French there, Le Roi de Feu, and that just cracked me up. I mean, I really think that's funny. Do you guys think that's as funny as I do?
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, I mean, it's just kind of wonderful, you know, to carry an ID card with your name, the King of Fire, in French.
Exactly. Now, you'd work with other, but you were in several villages, though, right? I was kind of going through your background. You were all around the villages in the Highland of Rod and Jirai, and was there something going on with the tribe rebels? I read a little bit about something happening with the
Oh boy,
what was happening with that?
This story is not just a good story. This is a great epic story.
Awesome.
You know, the interaction between Special Forces and FULRO, which was the Montagnard separatist organization. The FULRO short for Front Unifié de Lutte des Races Opprimées.
Yep.
The Unified Fighting Front of the Oppressed Races.
Yep.
And my best Montagnard buddy was a guy named Philippe Drun, who was his nickname was the Cowboy. There's a book about him. And he's a character in one of the best Vietnam movies, Go Tell the Spartans. I mean, this guy was a Montagnard. You know, there's probably only one GI from Vietnam who is more famous than Cowboy, and that's one American GI, and that's Jerry Schreiber, Mad Dog Schreiber. But anyway, okay, I'm rattling along about about the Montagnards and why I liked them, and they're very interesting people. They were, when we encountered them, they were a Stone Age people. They hunted with crossbows. They made poisons for their crossbows, and they had a poison that could take a tiger down in about 20 seconds.
Wow!
And these crossbows they're not these big cumbersome crossbows like you see in medieval movies. They were little light. They were little crossbows, and the arrows were bamboo, and they were basically just a long splinter of bamboo. And they had these. Their technology was these incredible poisons, and it was just all fascinating. They have. You could say that human history has been a quest for the highest, the greatest human happiness, the greatest, all of that. Well, when these guys discovered alcohol, they figured they'd found it, and so they had this Noonpai that we used to drink, which was
Noonpai.
It tasted actually somewhat like a combination of water, sugar, and vomit. And, we would be tasked the first time. That's how I got my bracelet. Is I was tasked to drink 3 canteen cups, which is 6 quarts of this shit, and I'm extremely proud of the fact that I only had to throw up 3 times to get through it, And
but did you get a buzz? Did you get drunk at least? Did you get a buzz off of it though?
I was fucking blasted, man. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's it's quite something. On the other hand, I had to share a jug of it with the chief of a leper village one time, which that was kind of an anxiety-inducing experience.
Right.
And
so you were saying about getting your bracelet. What was the?
Oh, I was telling you about FULRO.
Yeah, FULRO. Yeah, you were talking. Well, I'm going to ask now. You asked. I got some other questions too because you talk about the bracelet. So FULRO, which is the United Front or Struggle of the Oppressed Races. What were they fighting against? What was happening with them in the Hanoi government?
What they wanted was, well, first of all, we think race prejudice here in the United States is virulent and horrible, and I suppose it is. But compared to the relationship between the Vietnamese and the Montagnards, it's a Sunday school picnic. And I mean, okay, while we were there, one of our company commanders, one of our Montagnard company commanders, Nay Penn, his mother was just, you know, going home. She was walking across a rice field with a bag of rice, not a bag, but a basket of rice on her back. And there were these two Vietnamese, soldiers is not the right term. Two Vietnamese members of the Vietnamese Army, the South Vietnamese Army, the ARVN, were guarding this bridge, the Kalui Bridge, and they were bored. So just for shits and grins, they started plinking behind Nay Penn's mother.
Oh, shit.
And she took off running for the house, and they fucking picked her off as she was going up the log. There's a notched log that they used to go into their longhouses around stilts. They fucking picked her off, man. They killed her. And Nay Penn told us about it, and we went to the province chief about it. I mean, this guy was in command of about 85 to 100 people who were fighting against the enemies of the Vietnamese, and they did that to his mother. Excuse me. And I'm going to take a minute to wet that throat.
Yeah, go for it.
So anyway, we went to the Vietnamese major, who, the province chief, and he said, well, basically, he said, what do you want me to do about it? It's just another savage.
Oh, shit.
That's the relationships between the Vietnamese and the Montagnards. And, I mean, that's just a story. Now, when I'd been there a couple of months, we had the Tet 64. And so, you know, there's a lot of partying going on. And I was introduced to this captain, this Vietnamese Army captain, ARVN captain. And, you know, Morris. Well, the nasty name that the Vietnamese have for the Montagnards is Moi. And so this guy tried to introduce me as Dai Huy, Vietnamese word for captain, Dai Huy Morris, and he couldn't do it. So the closest he could come was Dai Huy Moi, and this captain just took off on that, you know, Dai Huy Moi, ha ha ha. And the thing is, the guy was insulting me to my face, and he thought I was too stupid to get it.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, so there's a fight between you people. Guess whose side I'm going to take, motherfucker? You know? And that pretty much defined my relationship between the Montagnards and the Vietnamese.
Now,
anyway,
what was their...
they had a revolt.
Yeah, what was I about to say? They had a revolt, but what was the Vietnamese government's issue on that? They couldn't even teach. The Montagnards weren't even allowed to teach classes in their own language.
No, they weren't allowed to teach classes in their own language. They couldn't get a passport. If they, in the unlikely event that any of them saw any money, it would be promptly stolen from them. Okay, here's a sample. Now, this was later when I was the S5 in Pleiku. The Mike Force, which was, okay, got to explain all this as I go along. The Mike Force was short for Mobile Strike Force, and it was battalions of Montagnards who had been, it was a battalion of Montagnard paratroopers is what it was that we had trained. And believe I made a combat jump with these guys. It was amazing.
Awesome.
But they, because of the revolt, they couldn't take their guns home. You know, I mean, they all lived in a village that was nearby, but they couldn't take their guns home. Whereas there was a Vietnamese Ranger Battalion camp nearby, and they could take their guns to town. And what they would like to do is stroll through the Montagnard village on their way to town and rape a couple of women and kill a couple of chickens. And there wasn't shit that our guys could do about it because they were unarmed, and these guys were, loaded for bear. So the Americans took to it was just a duty, like Sergeant of the Guard. A couple of guys would spend every night out there in that village, and if the Vietnamese came in, there were 2 Americans with M16s, and no, there's not going to be any raping or chicken killing or any of that shit. And so you see why they revolted.
Yeah, you likened it to the same thing, almost how the American Indians is what you likened it to.
Oh yeah. There's parallels all the way through.
Uh-huh.
And and a lot of lessons. But it's like what we were like is all of a sudden extraterrestrials came down and took the part of the Indians.
Right.
Did it?
And did it seem like what was our stance on it? Did it seem like we were we helping? Did it seem like the government was giving a shit?
You say our, you're talking about the USG?
Yeah.
Okay. Our stance was basically don't bother me with this shit. They didn't.
Right.
The tribes were a sideshow as far as they were concerned.
But weren't they used part of your irregular warfare? To kind of help them out. Isn't that what you guys were there for? Is to help them out, to assist?
Oh yeah, But first of all, never mind about how popular the Montagnards were with the USG. How popular was SF with the USG? Depend on who you talk to.
True.
No, this was after my first tour. My first tour, I was XO on an 18. My CO, who is just a great man, Cruz McCullough, he was an artillery officer, and at that time there was no SF branch. He was an artillery officer. He needed to get his command time. He went to the 173rd. They gave him an artillery battery, and then they started getting ready to go to Vietnam. And the first thing was the Chief of Staff of the Army gave a briefing to the officers and senior NCOs of every unit on the island except Special Forces. And we weren't invited because he said they got too many guerrillas in Vietnam already.
Wow. Holy shit.
Spec Ops is the big thing now, and it's mostly because of what we did, and it's because Jack Singlob worked out the organization chart for USOCOM and sold it to the Reagan administration. But we were not the fair-haired boy.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, I can imagine.
It was career death.
Yeah, that's what I
heard. It was career death.
If you went,
when you went in Special Forces, it was because you wanted to do that. Because one of our best 18 commanders was Happy Yoakum, who was a medical service corps officer. How he got into SF, I have no idea, but there he was,
Right.
And anyway, so Cruz was over there. Well, before I went to my second tour, he came, we were next door neighbors for one thing. And he said, Jim, we're going to lose this war, and I don't want to watch. Now, this was a guy who everybody that knew him knew he was going to retire with at least 3 stars. He was a captain on orders for C&GS. He was a captain on the 5% list on orders to C&GS, and he resigned his commission and got out. And because, as he said, we're going to lose this war, and I don't want to watch.
Right.
and that, my friend, was in 1964. Anyway, where was I going with that?
The Martinyards in there and being on our side and helping them out.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, so they had the revolt, and it was kind of interesting in many ways. At Buprang, the Montagnards went to Chuck Darnell, the commander there, and said, "We're going to kill the Vietnamese, and if you guys interfere or get out of the team house, we'll kill you." And Chuck said, "No, go ahead and kill them. I don't give a shit." So, well, they weren't very popular.
Right, I was about to say,
in most cases.
Right.
And there were exceptions to that. Not many, but there were exceptions to that. But Chuck, and so anyway, so they shoved them down the holes in the shitter and machine gunned them. And so those guys, Buprang, when peace was finally made, decided that it would be best if they went lock, stock, and barrel to Cambodia and hired on as an infantry battalion, which is what they did.
Right.
And then, in 67, November of 67, we jumped in and reopened that place, which that's the story in itself.
I was about to say, that's a story. That's like another book. That's like a movie and a half.
Well, it's part of War Story, but
right.
Yeah, the only thing out of War Story that ever, well, no, I cut the fucking Dumbo drop out of War Story because it was such a, it was a digression.
Right, you put it in Fighting Men. You put it in your novel Fighting Men.
It's in Fighting Men.
And so I was about to ask you about that. So tell us about John Scott Gant then. Since you went right there.
Oh, Scotty, God, I love that guy. He was a tall, skinny drink of water who was just he was one of the most pragmatic men I've ever met. And he just looked at the situation, analyzed it, and dealt. And he was okay. I've known guys in the Army who had the courage of lions when it comes to fighting the enemy, but they did not have the courage to tell their boss when he was full of shit. And Scotty had that in spades. And he didn't really have to because he was the S5. But no, I take it back. He was the Deputy 5. But anyway, okay. So we got a requisition for an elephant, for 2 elephants actually.
Right.
And then we had. I mean, the story is vastly more complicated than the movie, and indeed it resembles the movie almost not at all.
Really?
And,
okay.
Oh yeah. So, all right. Here's what happened. We got this requisition for 4 elephants, 2 to Trabong and 2 to Kamduk. And and whoever took the requisition assured whoever it was that, yeah, we'd do that without any knowledge whatsoever of what was entailed in moving elephants. And it's just a bit. They ate 50 tons of high-grade They ate 50 pounds of high-grade hay per day per ton of elephant.
Wow.
I mean, if we were going to ship them, the idea was originally we actually intended to airdrop them, which is where the story came from, and we figured out how we could do it. The reason we did not do it is because the British Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, in the person of Mrs. Mabel Raymond Hawkins, wrote the Times and said that this was horrible, that the Americans were going to do these awful things because the poor elephant's legs will break, and like that, Well, every objection she had, we had taken into account and had we knew what we were doing. But the truth is, sling loaded a flying crane. And I mean, we just wanted to do it, because
Right.
we could do it. And, but the first initial problem was, okay, to move these elephants by air, they're going to have to be knocked out and strapped down to a pallet. And, okay, what knocks out an elephant? We had an animal tranquilizer, which we had used on animals as big as water buffalo, but it would have taken 20 darts of this stuff to knock out an elephant. And the average elephant is not just going to stand around while you shoot it with 20 darts.
Right.
And so we had to find something else. So we got on the phone and started calling zoos in the United States. And in order to reach them, we had to start calling them at 9 o'clock at night, and we had to go through all these GI operators and convince them that we weren't drunk when we started asking them to connect them with Jews in the States.
I was about to say.
Jews in the States, they were like, but we did it. We tracked it all the way down to the Cleveland Zoo, and the guy at the Cleveland Zoo said, there is an experimental animal tranquilizer called M99. It's manufactured by Ricketts and Sons in Leeds, England. So we hung it up that night, and the next night we tried to call Leeds, England, and went through the same exercise with the Saigon operators, and finally lost the signal in Nevers, France. So we had the Nevers operator relay the conversation between us and Ricketts and Sons in Leeds, England, and the upshot of it was that M99 was an experimental drug. Yes, it would knock out an elephant. It's extremely dangerous. 5 people who had inhaled it had died.
Holy shit!
And so you had to wear a gas mask when you messed with it. And in order to get it, all you had to have was a narcotics import license granted by the Department of State. So the next thing was to apply for a narcotics import license. We did all this shit, we did it all. And we got, and we figured out, okay, Mrs. Mabel Raymond Hawkins will prevail. We won't airdrop them. We'll take them in by flying crane. And I think they flew them by air up to Da Nang, and then it took them in by flying crane the next day. And as it happened, okay, when the thing was coming up, Chuck Allen, who commanded Project Delta, which was, the precursor of Delta Force, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I do the whatever, blah, 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 because there's a lineage thing, but the two units operate dramatically differently. And so they're not exactly the same type of unit. But anyway, Chuck called, and he wanted me to do a piece about Delta. And I think he thought it would, being famous would help their morale or some shit like that. And I was glad to do it.
Right.
But as it happens, when the elephants were moved, I was running around in the Ashell with Delta, and I sent Frank Oriens, my lieutenant, Frank stuck up an ammo dump during Tet to get ammo for the defense in the trunk. I mean, he literally drew down on the dude and said, "Load my truck."
Holy shit.
Anyway, Frank, Frank got all the good shit. He was Martha Ray's escort,
Oh, wow.
but he went with the elephants, and it was a great story. Everybody was there, all the nets, all the wire services, BBC, ITV, something like 17 different military news organizations covered the thing, and we moved the elephants the same day that Martin Luther King was assassinated.
That's
and
right.
It blew us totally off of everything.
That's right. Yeah, that was the biggest. That was you guys were really at that point. Every story was at the bottom of anything once that happened.
Yeah, exactly. And and it was my one shot at telling America, hey, we're really doing some good stuff here. I mean, we did some great stuff in Vietnam. The reason I had split a jug of noon pie with the chief of a leper village is because we provided him with the shit to build a fucking village.
Right.
I mean, I was a project officer on a leper colony, for Christ's sake.
How was that? How was? I mean, is it like you see? Because you hear leper colony and you think there's people walking around and shit's just falling off of them. Is that really like that?
It wasn't that bad. Except, well, this chief, he was kind of short on fingers and toes, but
right.
As it happened, the Jirai tribe, which was the tribe that our strike force came from, had the highest incidence of leprosy in the world, which was 0.6%. 6 people out of 1,000 had leprosy.
Mm.
And they used to treat them just like they did in the Bible. They just threw them out of the village. And so they were, people rotting and wandering around out there like zombies looking for something to eat, And we had there were missionaries in the town, Bob and Bobby Reed. And we had a good relationship with these folks. And their idea was that we should help these people build a village, but they, you got to buy stuff or log stuff. For instance, they have these big uprights that they make, the foundations for their longhouses. And so one of our projects was to find an abandoned Montagnard village and pull all of those logs out of the ground and take them to this place so these people could build these villages or these longhouses. And we got the local USAID guy. He was involved. He was providing them with, they couldn't get rice for them. He got bulgur wheat, which they hate. They will only eat it out of desperation, but they did eat it. But the big seller that he had was Pril shampoo, because, there's a lot of the treatment for leprosy is just simple, like keeping clean, washing,
really,
stuff like that. So, yeah, so he had all of this. I mean, leprosy, it's barely contagious. I mean, you've got to be in close contact with people in a highly bacteriaized, not antiseptic at all setting, and it's because, people catch it when they live in close proximity. And but the ladies love the shampoo because of the bottle caps, because their decoration was they would pierce their ears and stretch them out into loops, and then they would fill them with these ivory plugs that they were getting from elephant tusks.
Wow.
And that was the height of Montagnard fashion. But the Pril caps were so shiny and regular.
I was
they
about
were
to
just
say, yeah.
beautiful, and they were highly prized, and women were wandering around with, Pril
with
Pril
shampoo,
bottle caps
with bottle caps in their ears.
Yeah.
So, did anybody, after Dumbo Drop, or it was actually not called Dumbo Drop, it was called Operation Baroom.
Yeah.
So, did Kevin, did Scotty Gant say that, did he say that it was the movie was legit? Like it was totally, was it any comparison to how you wrote the story?
Oh, well, there were a few things, but, the thing that I'm proud of about Dumbo Drop is, if a Vietnam vet wanted to show his grandchildren, which now his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren.
Yeah, I was about to say.
How?
Well, my dad it would be grandchildren.
We got the look.
Yeah.
I was a technical advisor on that thing, Jared Chandler and I. And Jared's not a Vietnam vet. He's quite a bit younger than that. But he's a really good TA, technical advisor. and he was in the Spec Ops Reserves, and now he owns a company that makes training videos, and I don't know what all it makes because it uses technology that's just mysterious to me. But he makes training vehicles for the Defense Department. But he was a TA on Clear and Present Danger and this thing Milius made about the Flight of the Intruder.
Yep.
And a bunch of stuff like that.
Very good TA for Clear and Present Danger. Very good TA for that. That movie was that was a good movie.
Which one are you talking about?
Clear and Present Danger.
Oh, Clear and Present Danger. Yeah, it was pretty good. The thing that the problem he had on that flick was that there was also a Defense Department guy. They got a Defense Department guy. They've got an office here in L.A. for that, and so this guy was around, and you know what SF guys are like when they go in. They're totally ratted out. They are not, forget all that. Uniform is just
yeah. There's nothing. It's sterile.
We are not uniform. You know, every one of those guys takes what the fuck he wants to. And I mean, that was part of what I got in Special Forces for. But in any case, so all those guys were much better uniformed than most Special Forces team. I mean, much more uniformly uniformed. And Jared gave in on that, but because basically he had no choice. They would have withdrawn their support, and they couldn't have made the film about it.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, that's one of those. Okay, flashback to 1962. I'm running a rifle range at Fort Dix, New Jersey, and my plan. I'd just gone to jump school. My plan was to get out and join the Special Forces Reserve in Oklahoma City, which I did for a while. I took a break in service, but as it happened, anyway, so one of my land graders from the range went to SF, and he came back on leave and was, said hi to the guys and all that, and I'm like, what's it like, And he said, well, all right, this story tells you a lot about what's it like. When I was in training, the first time we were supposed to go to the field, the night before, I was putting my gear together, so I went down to the bulletin board to see how we were supposed to do it. And there was nothing there. So I went to my team sergeant and I said, Top, there's nothing on the bulletin board. What are we supposed to take? And he said, you're a big boy, figure it out for yourself. But if you forget something, you better have it, because you ain't going back for it.
Nice.
And that was that attitude,
Yep.
No,
it's just
I wanted some of that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's almost like you're saying. It's almost like big boy rules. You know what I mean? It's almost it's initiative based environment. You know what I mean?
That's it. It is. It's big boy rules. I mean, you came to dance, not to listen to the music. Know what you're doing.
That's right. And you better know how to two-step.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Jim.
And yeah. We're running into somebody else's time.
No. I'm just saying we got to get going. I'm telling you, I could sit here and talk to you all night, but I know we only allot our guests about an hour. if they get that far, brother, but you got it, man. We totally appreciate you coming on.
Well, if you like my war stories, they're in print. So
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and hang out for a little bit. We're going to take a quick break, but hang out on the line so that way Mom can talk to you for a sec to get some other stuff from you, okay?
Okie doke.
All right. Hey, this is Jim Morris, again, retired Special Forces officer and Major, actually. And, of course, War Story, The Devil's Secret Name, and as well as Fighting Men are a collection of his magazine pieces that became the pilot of a 1994 video called Fighting Men series. Morris's life has always been intertwined with the Green Berets, but also with Vietnam. So we're going to take a real quick break and shot. Stand by.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Looking up and fading out, cirrus shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through. Skin is brown, nature has us trapped in fear, so I get lost in sound. I wonder if you'll ever know why I am the way I am. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about
Private Smedlap, what do you think about this? You have to go to the White House to find out about that.
What is this Facebook Live? I've never heard of this shit.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
Please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back with the last portion of the Monday edition. Oh, man. That was an awesome guest. That was good. So, that was some about historical stuff, man. He wrote about Operation Dumbo Drop. That's what I'm talking about. Did you ever see that movie there, Radar?
I haven't. I saw the movie years and years and years ago, but I haven't. I might watch it tonight. All the kids are asleep already, so I might sneak out, snatch me some Netflix.
I don't even know if that movie's still playing. Is it still playing? I mean, unless you got it on DVD, or you can stream it, or you can go on YouTube to download it or something like that.
I'm sure it's around somewhere.
Yeah, you could download it. It stars Danny Glover and Ray Liotta are in the movie. So if you want to watch it, it's a good flick. It's a good, like you said, like Jim said, it's one of those movies. If you wanted to see, it's one of those good feeling good stories about Vietnam. So
good news, you can order it on Amazon.
Oh, really? For how much?
$10. And if you have Prime, you can get it by Thursday if you order it tonight.
Oh man,
I'll drop the link in the chat.
Don't. We don't do any of that. We don't sell that stuff.
You asked.
I asked. I was. God, so I'm about to say, why are you gonna be so mean and shit?
Love you, dear.
Yeah, that's fucking. God, I just asked. Yeah, okay, so yeah, go. Yeah. Get it on Amazon. Get it on Amazon, and you can get it. Like I said, Operation Dumbo Drop, and of course. Thank you, Jim, for coming on. Wow, I could listen to him all night.
Yeah, I could too. It reminds me when I was a kid, all my uncles and everything were in Vietnam, and my one uncle was a colonel in the Air Force, and that's all I knew. And we used to go down to Scott Air Force Base where he was stationed at, and he was a C-141 pilot. This is back in the day when we still had those, and I remember sitting in his garage, and all of his buddies would come over, and one of his buddies was a F-105 Thunder chief pilot and all that. We just listened to their old stories, and we'd sit in that garage for hours. And then they make fun of me because I was not going in the Air Force. But,
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you want to make... Okay, I'll take that back. Making fun of somebody for not joining the Air Force is not making fun of somebody. That's kind of like... I'm just breaking balls, Terry. Don't be vaping all over me. I mean, throwing up no vape clouds and stuff.
No, but those guys were all like decorated, and that's back when it took a lot of work to get a Bronze Star, and they had distinguished flying crosses and all that stuff, and they would just tell crazy stories. And even now I go to the VFW and have a beer or hang out or whatever, and you listen to those guys, and I'm just like, I've been downrange. I've seen some cool stuff, but I'll never have stories that mirror those guys'. Those guys are just, they're, and it's like the World War II guys. They're starting to fade away and getting up there in age, and hopefully those stories don't get lost to history like so many others have.
Right. So I'm glad they came on here. Come on, we need to get more Vietnam vets, on here. Anyway, it's kind of funny. I think it's got the Mark Yablanca effect. That the next thing you know, all these Vietnam vets, all these old school guys coming on here. I love it. Hey, researching me and stuff like that. What's up with that? You know these guys? It's the old school guys are the ones that I know who you are, Ice. I know. Blah, 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 blah. Mark said the same thing when we did an interview with him last time he came on here. Some reporters, man. You ask if you want to talk to a reporter, they're gonna research you.
Didn't Don Shipley have your whole service record sitting in front of him when you interviewed him?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Here, I gotta find out who this guy is. Blamp, here you go. Yep, that's pretty quick. That's me. Wow. Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, Don Shipley, the guy who outed the Navy SEAL veteran, who was a previous guest on WTF Nation Radio, has had his YouTube page shut off. His YouTube page has now been shut off. So all the stuff that we're getting off and all the videos that we were highlighting that were on his YouTube page are now no longer on there. All he did was just to, hey, look, this guy talked about somebody's service record, and that was it. So I'm sure he'll come back on here to talk about it, because that's some crazy ass shit. So this is the part where you know, what we were talking about earlier about Elizabeth Warren and her quest into destroying YouTube and Google and Facebook. This is the one time I'm on her side when it comes to stuff. You know what I mean? When they do shit like this, you know, if you have a platform that you're monetizing some of the videos that your followers put on there, and you're making money off of it, and you're saying, hey, it's to get famous and all that, and YouTube used to be fucking whatever. You could just put whatever you wanted on there. And of course, you know, if it wasn't pornography or something like that, then you know, it would get away with it, and you had to sign in on Age Raver, and you know, and then it connected to your Gmail account and all that. It was pretty open. It was really not one of those things where you can, if you didn't find it on Facebook, you didn't find it on wherever, any other social media platform, you didn't find it on Twitter, you were going to find it on YouTube, any video that you wanted to put on there, any content you wanted to put on there. But now they're just like straight up, just like I said, they cut his YouTube page off just because he highlighted the fact that Nathan Phillips wasn't a Vietnam veteran.
Yeah, and they called it harassing behavior or something. Like, I'm pretty sure what that Nathan Phillips guy did was harassing behavior as well. So maybe it's just tit for tat.
Yeah, I think so too. I just think that anything that has to do with large organizations like that should not be involved in politics. YouTube, Facebook. I mean, not involved in politics as far as the decision making. If they're bringing people on board, and you want to say, hey, this is a platform for you, and you're using my information, from all my personal data, all 18 different versions of me, then you go ahead and use it. You know what I mean? I got nothing to hide. Go ahead. Take my data. But don't get the ass when it's information that's put on there.
Well, and you think it'd be counterintuitive to them, because there are people who subscribe to pages like Mr. Shipley's, and that's the stuff they want to watch. So if you're deleting all the content on that end, you're losing viewers, you're losing viewership, you're losing your income when you do things like that. And I understand that they are trying to push some sort of political agenda, whether it be, you know, right or wrong or indifferent. They are a private owned company. They're allowed to do that kind of stuff, I guess, if they want. But it's just, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right to do that kind of thing.
No, it doesn't. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't to me, because he wasn't really doing anything that anybody else was doing. When you think about it, he wasn't doing anything else than any other media platform was doing. So this is like I said, this is the one time where I hope, you know, YouTube gets, you know, whatever. You know, it goes back and forth to where if you want to open it up, and you want to open up for everybody to use, and you say it's for everybody to use, and then you start picking and nitpicking who is considered the everybody can use it aspect of it. Because, you know, some of those videos are monetized without your permission. They just monetize them. They're just throwing an ad on there, and that's it. I don't know if his were monetized. I'm sure they were, because he was, you know, making an income off of it for his reserve, for his property stuff that he's doing for vets. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm just kind of like, really, you had to cut him off. I mean, you had to sit there and there was no explanation. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna let us know. He'll probably hit us up again. I'm more than happy to have him come back on here. Real quick, some news from the main page. They have asked me to make a couple of announcements for them. As you know, U.S. Army WTF Moments posts a lot of burials, funerals for veterans who has that have no family members to attend. So take a look at the main page and check out the post that you see for what they call a call for assistance. And what that is that it is it's basically what it sounds like. It's a call for assistance for individuals that have for a funeral attendance, a memorial service, and all that. So the main page asked me to invite. There's been an invitation for the public for a World War II veteran's funeral. Community leaders are seeking volunteers to attend the burial of a decorated World War II veteran who died last week without any living family to attend his funeral. Albert Al Korn, 95, died Thursday in the Nevins Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Methuen. He was predeceased by his wife Maria, and while his obituary says Korn was survived by one brother and one sister, the staff at the Pollard Funeral Home said they had fallen out of touch with his brother and his sister, who lives in Florida and is in her late 90s and unable to attend. We didn't want to see a veteran laid to rest and not have anyone here, said Pollard Funeral Home Director Aaron Meisen. So he set out to find out some folks who would come out and pay their respects to Korn. It is all are invited to attend Korn's graveside service at 1100 hours Wednesday at the Elmwood Cemetery in North Lowell Street in Methuen. His casket will arrive following procession to the funeral home to the cemetery led by the Methuen Police Department. Proud for the city for doing this. It's important. Representative Linda Dean Campbell, chairwoman of the Joint Committee on Veterans and Federal Affairs. It's hard for us to understand the magnitude of what those served during World War II, both men and women, what they did. They literally preserved democracy for many countries. So born in 1923, Paul Korn moved from the United States and settled in Connecticut with his family, and while he was young, shortly after graduating high school in 1941, he enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1943, according to his obituary. Korn earned the Purple Heart for his service and fought critical battles like the invasion of Normandy, D-Day, Rhineland Offensive in Germany, and was honorably discharged in 1945. Later went home to the Merrimack Valley, where he worked for Raytheon for nearly 20 years. In addition to the procession, Korn will be honored with a 21-gun salute from the VFW and traditional taps and folding of the flag from the Army. He will also, Meisen will receive the flag in lieu of Korn's relatives. Several local veterans organizations, to include the Disabled American Veterans and the American Legion and Honor Guards from the police and fire departments, will attend the service. Mayor James Jajuga, Office of the Veterans Service Director Thomas Hargraves, and Campbell are also scheduled to attend. Quote, we have so few members of the greatest generation still with us, Jajuga, a Marine veteran, said in a statement. Quote, we should take every opportunity to recognize their service and sacrifices and stand with them and their loved ones when they pass on. So, yeah, this is one of those things that you guys, again, this is going to be at 1100 on Wednesday, March 13th at the Elmwood Cemetery, 130 North Lowell Street, Methuen. In lieu of flowers, contributions, and Korn's memory will be made to the Methuen Senior Activity. So there you go. That's that is the news there. It'll be posted on the main page as well. So they asked me to make that over the air since it's going to happen on a no broadcast day. But it kind of sucks when we read stories like that. I know it doesn't it does suck when we read a story about a veteran who's going to be buried alone, and with no family. I think for a long time the main page has been pretty good about posting call for attendances. We've all members of the WTF Nation Radio staff have attended the same, and it's one of those things to where it's the right thing to do type of shit. Nobody wants to be forgotten.
We seem to be getting an increasing number of those as well, and I don't know, maybe it's just the word's getting out that we're sharing that and helping, veterans connect with other veterans, or if it's more and more of those guys are passing away without the family, being there for them.
Yeah, I think that the fact that there has to be one at all kind of sucks, but I'm glad that they were able to get the message out to us. And like I said, we'll post it. We'll keep posting it. No big deal. It is no issue to us to post something like that. So no one should be forgotten or be left to be buried alone. That sucks. That just totally fucking sucks. But anyways, yeah, the call for attendance are definitely near and dear to Spanky's heart as well. Spanky, anytime there's one around the Fort Hood, Dallas area, those are the ones that she attends, and we always get good pictures and good video from all that. So it's kind of cool. Like I said, it's one of those right things to do, man. God, it'd break my heart to see a veteran get buried without any family or anybody recognizing their service. They deserve it, especially gosh, dude, every veteran, not just specifically to World War II, but every veteran. But yeah, it's one of those things I gotta break out. Anyways. The next thing. So anybody, real quick, the main page also has asked me to say if you have any videos of your housing, your facilities now that the story has broke, to see what is going on with all the maintenance work that has, and the work orders that's supposed to have happened, to your housing area, on post housing. Drop a video. Horizontal, of course, not vertical.
I can give you an update on ours.
Well, hang on. I gotta give the main page. It's video at armywtfmoments.com. Video at armywtfmoments.com to send your housing and / fuckery Joe video, whatever, and just put it where, if it's the housing video, just say what the installation is and what housing village you're at. So say it's like Fort Hood, Comanche 2. Or something like that, or something like that. Whatever housing area you live in, and then what it is. Did a work order for this? Did a work order for that? Blah 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 blah. Because I guess the video guys are about ready to jump to do a bunch of shit, highlighting since all this stuff has been going on. There's going to be like, okay, since this was revealed, and we're going to be talking about all this. The main page is going to be releasing videos so far of how progress has gone till no housing video is sent. I guess so go ahead, Mom, tell us, what is the status of your housing dilemma?
So my only issue was like our front storm door. It's pretty fucking windy here, and at Fort Bliss, and the door will slam shut and you can't open it. It's came to the point where like I busted the frame on it. They came, put the frame back up, and then a few weeks ago, the door like slammed shut. Nathan was outside. The boy was outside trying to open the door. He could not open the door. Like, he had to pull so hard he broke the handle. The door still would not open. The hubby had to go and get a drill and undo the door frame a little bit so you can open the door. So we called housing to let them know that you cannot open the door, and they literally told us that it wasn't an emergent or a priority because there's other doors in the house. And I told him, I was like, wait, so if my house is on fire and this is my only means of egress, which, by the way, I was a firefighter EMT, that's a hazard. That's pretty important for you to come and fix my fucking door. So I didn't say that like that. It's pretty important for you to come, fix my door so we can get out. And my kids are at the age where they can stay home by themselves, and, kids are kids. So we put in a work order. They just kind of fiddled with it. And then when they came back around and I told them the issue, Fort Bliss, the garrison or whatever who was here, and probably 3 days later, my door was fixed.
So I thought what they were going to do at Fort Bliss is they were going to just go ahead and do it by what they said. They said they were going to do. Then their town hall said they were going to have we're going to do this by as we get them, so that way, and then emergence would be like there was like an urgent order or something like that, and then but everything else would be taken. So. Yeah, isn't that what they said? I think Fort Hood said the same thing too.
To me, trying to get out of your house during an emergency is pretty fucking urgent. Like, the lady on the phone was just like, well, that's just not urgent. You have to put in call in business hours and put in a regular work order.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, but what I'm saying though, but the regular work order, see that's right there. You bring up a good point. That's what started this whole fucking drama. That's what started this whole mess with the housing crap. It became just a regular work order, just a regular work order, just a regular work order. And then shit started falling apart just a regular work order.
See, and from what I kind of gathered from this lady, like whoever that I know, Fort Hood has a call center. I don't know about Fort Bliss. I know Fort Gordon didn't. You pretty much called like somebody's front desk to put in a work order, which I always thought was stupid. But anyways, I don't think they train them to understand what's like emergent, urgent, and regular work order. I mean, if somebody's telling you that they can't get out of their house, I would think that's pretty urgent in the event that there is an emergency. So I think that's probably another issue, like you just brought up, a regular work order. So that might be one of the biggest. Maybe they need to train like the people that are taking these work orders to identify what's urgent or not, or just put down urgent. And if housing shows up and they're like, okay, well, your house isn't flooding, the leak, we need to get the parts, we'll fix it in, a few days once we get them. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
You mean customer related type shit, like customer, I don't understand how come they don't just do this like a damn dispatch office. I don't get that. I don't see what in qualification, what in tarnation, why are they taking so long to do this? Like exactly that was brought up in the chat. With all this heat going on, why are they still now all going back to their? It's almost like it didn't happen. It's almost like, we got a lot of drama from from all these town halls. Let's let this shit die down. Congress,
of course, that's what's going to happen.
That Congress has yelled at everybody. Congress has already fucking said, yeah, okay, whatever. The military has gone around and says this is an atrocity, and then you know what I mean. All the senior leaders have gone around and pinks and greens. No, that's not what we're talking about. Somewhere. We got to put our soldiers in pinks and greens. No. This is the reason why. A routine work order is what started this whole freaking mess. So yeah, it just kind of, you're right. I don't think I think what it is the same. And that's the problem. It's almost like Congress. That's the way we've always done it. You're getting involved in bureaucracies right now that are, have specific rice bowls involved to where people, and they're protecting their little kingdoms. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, and I think I saw this, I don't know if it was in one of the chats or if you spoke of it, but to me, they should make it to where if you're living in on-post housing, since it's being ran by a private company now, that you should have the option to withhold your rent and escrow until it's fixed. After, of course you have to go through steps and then the whole, get a lawyer involved and stuff.
That's already happening. That's already happening.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
okay, good.
that's already happening.
Good.
That's already they're already, that was part of the patient bill of rights, the tenant bill of rights. That's already part of the tenant bill of rights.
Now.
That's already been discussed. Me and Spanky talked about it on sergeant's time while we were sergeanting, and that's exactly what we said. We read off all the tenant bill of rights, and we picked apart the tenant bill of rights. These are of course up draft, currently not approved currently yet, But yeah, that's the thing. You should not have to threaten somebody to stop paying rent, because you know what you're doing is you're conditioning the army. You're conditioning these soldiers that live in housing to do that in like real life. Joe, you don't have the power in some states to hold your rent when shit's not getting fixed. Housing's the only place that offers that fucking protection. Now, what you gonna do? Sue? You're still gonna live in shitty housing. You're still gonna live in a shitty house. You're conditioning. You're supposed to fucking fix it. You're not supposed to sit there and say, "Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just withhold rent." The guy's still living in a mildew, moldy house. The guy's still, the guy and gal, whoever signed for the home is still living in dilapidated conditions and still has, repairs that need to be done. Like you said about the door, there should be no door in a house that should be locked down like that at all.
No.
So when it's one of those things to where, have you ever lived in government housing before, Radar?
Not in a long, long time.
Did you?
Not a long time.
But did you have any issues when you were living there though?
Oh God, yes. Well, that's when I was in the Marine Corps. So the Marine Corps is like, you got a roof and
yeah, it's right. Yeah, hoorah, Bella Rood. Yeah, leather.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever.
That kind of, if it ain't raining, it ain't training.
Right. Raw. Yeah. Hoorah!
And if you're like, oh, this is a nice room, they just come in with like a bucket of asbestos and throw it in your face. Like, there, now
Yes.
get used to it.
Snort them shits. Oh man. So
Enjoy lung cancer.
yeah, exactly. Snort this, but this is cancer. So here's the thing. Again, it should not. There should not be a provision to hold back. In other words, it's like saying file a missed meal when you miss chow. The soldiers are still fucking hungry. You don't filing a missed meal ain't gonna do shit. Holding rent is not gonna do shit. How about you hold them accountable? Everything should be a priority. Like you were saying. What was somebody said? Who was it? Who said that? Somebody said some shit in the chat. That there was going to be, with all this drama going on, they're now going to act like, oh, well, you said that, Mom, but they're all going to go back to the way it used to be. It's going to be normal. It's going to be, oh, well, now that the heat's died out, let's get them some pinks and greens and we'll be good to go.
Pretty much. Then the shit's just gonna go back in a circle.
Right.
It's not gonna be my problem in a couple months, so I'm good to go.
Well, I'm just saying the point, but you're still living in a crappy. So right now, Fort Bliss housing. Yeah, Fort Bliss housing. Did you hear us? You hear us, Fort Bliss housing? Yeah, we're talking about you.
I mean, other than that, the house we have is pretty nice. It's fairly new, so I mean, that was my only complaint was that. And of course, when we first moved in, our AC wouldn't work, and then I had to go up to the housing office and pitch a fit to get it to work. But they fixed it.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have to do that, though.
Exactly. I should not.
You didn't go up all Dependa on them and shit? You didn't Dependatron transform and roll out. You didn't do anything. Yeah, I'm about to say, man, you should have fucked them up.
When it's okay to be a Dependa.
Crazy ass shit. Oh my God! So where did you live in government housing there, Radar, when you were in the Corps?
It was actually a abandoned Air Force base in Fort Worth, Texas. It was the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base in Fort Worth, the old Carswell Air Force Base. So the way the Marine Corps works is the Air Force was like, this base is crap. It would take too much money to fix it, to make it livable for our airmen. And then so the BRAC shut it down. And then the Marine Corps was like, wait a minute, that's way better than our pile of shit over here, so we'll take it. And they moved everything from Naval Air Station Dallas over to there. I don't know, somehow got lucked out into going to the stupid reserve base. And I was actually, they were the last base to have the F-4 Phantoms. So I was one of the last Marines to actually have an F-4 Phantom aircraft mechanic, MOS. So that made retirement or promotions really fun when everyone else is a gunnery sergeant, an E7 or an E8, and I'm like the only E3 sitting around. But so yeah, like it was literally they went and said, this base is too messed up for us to fix, so we abandoned it. And the Marine Corps was like, yes, we want it. And it was a pretty nice base. I mean, it was Texas, so it wasn't, I don't know, Okinawa or somewhere crappy like that. But I'm old enough that in the Marine Corps anyway, we still lived in the old D huts in Pendleton. You know, we still had the crappiest of the crap barracks that, you know, were abandoned right after World War II. And they're like, throw these Marines in there, they'll clean it up and dust it out. And so my experience in the Marine Corps is nothing but crap military housing. So
it was crap, and nothing but crap. So help me crap.
So when I got to a place with an actual roof and windows that opened, I was a whole lot more excited than the dirt floor D huts at Pendleton. So it wasn't, and I was in the air wing. I wasn't even in the grunts. Like I was in a good spot. I should have been. Those poor grunts, they're like, you know, hey, at least I have my own room. I'll give it that. And then when I got into a house, it wasn't so bad. You know, I remember the guys at 29 Palms living like 6 deep in a room, and I was like, screw that. You know, and those were NCOs, those were corporals and sergeants living like that. So You know, I guess I shouldn't complain too much. Like I said, I had a window that opened in Fort Worth in August. I never had an air conditioner in that place, never once in the 3 years I lived there. So
Jesus, dude, didn't they got freaking hot?
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous, but I don't know, you get used to it, I guess. Like I said, I have my own place, so that made up for it. I did go buy some window, because you don't pay for electricity. At least we did. They just gave, you didn't get VAH, but you got the house. So I had like 50 window air conditioners every window.
Yeah, that's
so
one thing. That's one thing.
They paid for it one way.
Yeah, that's one thing that trips me out, how it all fucking went. It went weird like that. You know what I mean? So it's odd. Yeah, it just.
I just don't understand. As a contracting service, this shit would never fly for civilians. If you were looking for an apartment in any major city and went to a rental place and they treated you like this, you'd be gone.
Right.
They would have zero business, because they have literally the market cornered for base housing. They can just act however they want, and you can't really do anything. I mean, even we've got all these base commanders now, and all these commanders that are like, we need to fix this, but how long is that going to last? How long is it actually going to be in the limelight where they're actually going to try to fix it? So, I guess I've never been a commanding officer. I'm not going to say how they think, but I've worked with a few, and they've got so much crap going on that things get put on the back burner. Even things that were at one time important, other things become more important. And I just can't see it. If they're already starting to push shit to the back, oh, it's not important. You don't need a door. Yeah, kind of need a door, and the mold and everything else. And we got to quit saying mold, because I keep getting all these ads popping up on my Facebook now about mold removal. I've never Googled it. I don't have mold in my house, so I don't know. That's maybe some tinfoil times things that we need to get with Jay ready about.
You ain't lying, dude. Dude, tell me about it. Earplug, earplugs,
yes.
Mold, baby shit.
Yeah, maybe.
Man.
Next thing, there's gonna be moldy earplugs, and I don't even know how to deal with that.
Babies wearing moldy earplugs.
Exactly.
Oh man, well that sucks. You need to keep us posted there, Mom, on the status of your housing area. Fort Bliss, you're on blast right now. That's right, Fort Bliss right now is on blast for housing.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, keep it posted on that shit, because that's crazy. Because, like I said, once the studios drops the housing videos, again, video at ArmyWTFmoments.com for your housing and fuckery woes. Please film it horizontal, not vertical. It's one of those things to where, like, damn, they're getting some good videos too. I will say this: I would drink water in several installations. The way some of the water is coming out, and I can't believe they're putting people in these fucking housing. So once the stuff gets posted, once some of the facilities of also some of the facilities as well, some of the soldier barracks and places where they work, the studios is going to drop a big one. They're going to drop it. They're going to start dropping them at the end of every month. And, yeah, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be, oh, God, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be huge.
I'll make sure there's plenty of popcorn for everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. No, it's going to be funny just to watch everybody's reaction. Well, piece of grades. So.
Wait, anyway. Speaking of the water, wasn't there a big to-do like 2-3 months ago about all these bases that had like cancer in the water? Whatever happened with all that?
Just rub some dirt on it and you'll be okay.
Okay.
That's right. Camp Lejeune.
Filter.
Yeah, buy a filter. Buy Brita. I think it was Camp Lejeune was the one that were that yes, they admitted that yep, the water's been contaminated, but we ain't paying shit. That's there you go. So you have everybody arguing about the wall, you have everybody arguing about shutting the government down, continued resolutions, trillions in debt, but when it comes to service members and their families not getting paid or getting some type of settlement, then that's it. That's the dealio, Berlio. So, but anyways, sucks. It really blows. So real quick, today's guest was Jim Morris, retired U.S. Army Special Forces Major. award 4 Purple Hearts in Vietnam. God, dude. Before the Marines even hit Da Nang. Also the author of A War Story, The Devil's Secret Name, and Fighting Men. Of course, one of the chapters of Fighting Men is a story of Operation Dumbo Drop, which is pretty cool, pretty epic. Next Monday, we're going to have Doug from Company Leader. Doug is an active duty U.S. Army infantry officer and a 2009 graduate of the Norwich University. His experience in Stryker and light units and tactical and operational levels in the CENTCOM and PACOM AORs. Holds a bachelor's degree in English and history and a master's degree in organizational leadership. Doug is currently a Joint Chiefs of Staff intern and master's candidate at Georgetown University. He's the creator and curator of The Company Leader, an online professional forum dedicated to developing leaders at the tactical level of war, which is a company-grade officer or a first sergeant. So we're gonna pick his brain about that stuff. I'm surprised it's on a Monday, but no worries. Well, yeah, because it's not sergeant's time, because he'd be sergeanting, right? And is that it? So you're only going to get General Donahoe as the he's the only. It took General Donahoe is the only general that he's the only officer that didn't mind coming on a sergeant's time. He wasn't scared. See, he sees fat people. So I love that quote. I don't see dead people, Ice. I see fat people. I love it. But anyways. So what else is going on? Yeah, spring break has started for a lot of communities now, starting this week and a couple of weeks. It's like from now until, like the end of April. Yeah, the end of April, spring break is on. So it's like this week is one area. Once this next week's gonna be another one. Next week's gonna be another one. Next week's gonna. So there's gonna be like, it's like for the next 4.5 weeks, it's everybody's version of spring break. So there will be some shows, of course. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. If you missed the show, don't worry. You can go to WTFNationRadio.com, or you can go to Facebook at U.S. Army WTF Moments, or go to WTF Nation Radio's Facebook, or you can go on to, if you have a Twitter account, and you want to just go on the timeline there and just listen to the show there, go on to the TuneIn app, go on Mixer, download Google Play and iTunes, and you can hear all of us downloaded podcasts. It's usually about 30 to 45 minutes after showtime. Podcast gets loaded up. And if you can't find us, just Google WTF Nation Radio, and the first 5 pages is us. What else? Go to ArmyWTFMoments.com and go to the WTF Nation Radio tab, and you'll be able to see the Mixer chat. You'll also be able to see the live button right there. Just click on that, and the button will be live. What else? What else am I missing? Did I say TuneIn app already? Yeah, I said TuneIn app. WTFNationRadio.com, of course, appreciates all of your listenership. And, of course, if you go down to the right page of the WTFNationRadio.com website, there is a donate button. Make sure you cash in the chips. Become a shareholder. Become a stock of WTF Nation Radio, because without you guys, we would not be doing this. I appreciate the gracious offers for other forms of payments. I love tacos, but that doesn't keep the station running. Appreciate the offer. Tecate, yes, I love Tecate, but that doesn't keep the station running either. So just go down to the right corner of WTFNationRadio.com's website, and you'll also be able to see all the shows there, see the staff. Somebody asked me a question that I didn't realize this, but we have a Veterans Administration representative. You just click on the link and drop the info. That individual is employed by the VA, wishes to remain anonymous, of course. So we don't even know what we have it set up. There's only 2 people that know where that website or that email is going to. And then once you input that information and it's sent to that email, that's it. We at WTFNationRadio.com do not know anything else between you and that VA representative. And that VA representative will be able to help you out. Time and tested and proven that VA individual has helped out. So don't get discouraged. Wait a day or so. If it's an emergency, of course, call the VA. But usually when it comes to claims and appeals and all that individual is pretty on point with giving the advice to get you what you need. You go to contact us and you'll see. Contact our VA representative. So, anyways. You got anything for me, Radar? Dude, you just been blabbing all night, so I got to make sure
Well,
I cut in a word edgewise.
I'm gonna throw this out there too. Like, as someone who's been through the VA system, if you are having issues that are smaller, not necessarily claim stuff, but if you're having issues, there should be a OIF, OEF coordinator at your local VA. Every VA hospital or clinic should have one, and they can also help point you in the right direction if you don't feel like you're getting traction, or if you don't, if it's a easy fix, help with scheduling appointments, whatever. Mine up here is phenomenal, and every VA is supposed to have an OIF, OEF coordinator for all of the generation who's just getting out now. And there's also Desert Storm coordinators. There's all different kinds of help at the VA. If you just have to reach out to them. They don't know you need help unless you reach out to them.
Good shit. Well, guys, gals, WTF Nation, thank you for listening tonight. Of course, thank you, Jim Morris, for being our guest and coming on. And, of course, always a pleasure to be able to broadcast you guys on the Facebooks until we get banned. This is Ice, and this is Radar, and Maum. We're out. See ya, shots!
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
Please enjoy the show. Shots.
Before glorious President Trump can assume the intergalactic throne, he surveyed the universe and said, let's make all of this our own. He commissioned a group of soldiers, take upon their shoulders a daunting task of relentless fear, ultimate conquest of the last frontier. Now here we are enlisted for the glory of our nation. To say that we're the best would be an under-exaggeration. Prepared for combat with an alien race to kick their asses right in the face. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. They say that they've discovered life up there on Mars, so let's blow it all to hell and then claim it for ours. We'll paint the moon red, white, and blue for no other reason than we wanted to. Oh, Jupiter, imagine what you could become. A stupid, pointless planet turned into a giant gun. And Russia, so sorry, have to burst your bubble. Be a good sport now, sit back, relax, and watch us through the hubble as we celebrate the greatness of the United Planet of America. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now we'll go to infinity and beyond, beyond. You'll hear our manly voices singing Space Force strong. The critics say sound doesn't